Do. My gosh, we're live. Nicole,
Hello.
how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's so nice to have you with us, Annanya. Welcome. Welcome to Moxie Mondays.
Thank
Well,
you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the warm welcome.
Yeah, you are officially our second guest of the show. It's amazing. Thank you for being our second guest. It's an honor to have you.
Yeah.
And how are you this morning? What's lighting you up today?
I'm great. I am today this morning. The weather is really good in Canada, and my boss just let me know this morning that I am going to this training with Microsoft this Wednesday. So that light up my morning, and I'm super excited to go.
Cool. What's the
Yay.
training? What kind of training
So
is it?
it's a certification for AI, and they are training me on some tools that will be helping me to use AI more efficiently, and how I can, use AI tools just to streamline my work process in my current role.
So relevant. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. Well, I can't wait to hear how the training goes. I know here at Hello Moxie, we're all about how can we use AI and leverage it to make us all work better, smarter, faster. So very cool.
Yeah,
Well,
that's awesome.
here at Hello Moxie, we're all about really amplifying underrepresented voices in women in tech specifically. So I would love to hear from you, Annanya. If you could tell our listeners about your journey. How did you end up as a woman in tech? And what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah, so when I was in my high school, I was always interested how computers worked, and how programming worked, and I always found those movies where you can see hackers going through trying to do ethical hacking, not like the ones that steals money. I'm doing. I really found it fascinating how hackers get into criminals' computers and trying to fetch data and stuff, and that's how I got really interested into tech. But before that, I was kind of convinced that I want to go into medical. So I wanted to pursue forensic science and get into medical school after that. But then I realized that I don't do well with blood. I am
How did you realize that?
Yeah,
so
there's got to be a story there.
yeah, there is a story actually. So what happened was when I was going to school one day, like my high school one day, there was this guy who fell on the road, and there was like blood everywhere from his head, because he was walking and he hit a pole and he couldn't see because he was on his phone, and then he fell, and there was this whole stream of blood that was going on. And after looking at that, I literally felt dizzy, and I fell on the floor too. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And I had my mom with me, luckily, and she was able to, take me to my inside my home, because it was right in front of my lane, like my house lane. And luckily we were very close to our house. So then my mom just put some like did some, I don't know, I was unconscious, did some primary care, and then I was awake, and my mom was like, what happened? Why did you feel unconscious? I was like, I looked at that blood, and that blood looked like jelly.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, that is so great. So how far in were you into your medical degree, and
No, I was not
This is in
into
high
medical.
school,
Like, I
right?
was not into medical degree at that time. I was
Oh,
just
okay.
in my high school when that happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I remember reading, just so everyone knows, I sort of creep on Instagram. That's just my little way of saying it to make it lighthearted and funny. But I find ladies through Instagram, and really it's about alignment in their content. And Annanya stood out to me because she's so funny. Her content is really fun to watch, at least her About Me. So everyone will share below her page, and you'll get to see what I mean. But what I was going to say, aside from that, was I remember reading when you realized you didn't want to do medical, and it was because of this story, right? You saw blood and you're like, okay, we're going to have to figure out another path. You said that you realized you love solving problems, math, like using math. So,
Yes.
so what did that journey look like to that realization once you saw this moment that stood out in time? What was that then to the realization of tech was where you wanted to go?
Yeah, so in my high school, we had I had both. Like I had biology, and I also had information communication technology. So I was reading C++. I was learning about HTML, logic gates, and all of that in my high school. So at that time, when I realized that I'm not going to go into medical, I was kind of researching that, what not researching, like I'm trying to realize what I am good at, like what I enjoy, what I like doing. And I realized that I really liked HTML at that time. And I also really liked C++, which was my first programming language that I learned. And when the first time I wrote Hello World, I was like, wow, that's just magic. How it just happened? Like I didn't know that it would hit me with this feeling, right? And that was my first goal
Kind of
that,
spark. Yeah.
sorry?
It seemed like that was kind of a spark for you. Like
Yeah,
you knew
exactly. That
something
was
was
the
there.
first time, like I was kind of feeling very confident that, okay, I can do this, and I love it.
Awesome.
So after that, I realized that people who are in tech, they love solving problems. Not, it doesn't have to be math problems. It doesn't have to be some kind of some kind of regular problem. It is a problem that everyone is facing around us. So I started reading about different companies, like how they started out, like Uber, Apple, and Google, all of that. And that was something which was very eye-opening for me. And I understood that if you want to be in tech, you have to know how to understand people's problems and how to find a solution to it. It doesn't have to be very technical, or it doesn't have to be very complicated. It can be something simple. And at that time, I was really good at math as well. Even I was not that great in biology or ICT. In my college, it was said ICT, like information communication technology. But I was really good at math. And when I was researching about pursuing computer science or software engineer, I realized that if you're good at math, you will be good at programming. That's
Okay.
what also drove my motivation to learn. But soon after I started my undergrad in computer science, I realized that the knowledge of math you need to solve computer science problem is not really complicated math. It's basically the math that you study in your high school. It will be enough to
Okay.
solve problems.
Okay.
Mm. I love what you shared there
Because
about
yeah,
like,
because in computer science degree they also teach you math. You
Yeah.
don't have to have a math background, like very technical math background from
Okay.
before.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction because I think it can be assumed very much so that you have to have that very a higher level of math
Hmm.
to be good at,
Yes.
because tech can be I mean, it's its own language, right? And if you're not in it, it looks very complicated. Sorry,
Yes.
Nicole, you were gonna say something, and I don't want you to
Oh,
lose it.
no, yeah, no, I love what you just shared. I think that's so true. Like for a lot of women who, I will say for myself, tech was never presented as an option for me when I was in school. When I went to high school, there weren't like computer science classes in my high school at that time. And I'm aging myself, but I went to school in the 90s. That's when I graduated. I graduated from 99. It wasn't even an option. And so I think the more that we have conversations like this, and the more that younger women can actually just try it to realize, like, because it does seem, to Nicole, to your point, if you're just looking at it from like a layman's perspective, it feels overwhelming. It's like a different language. It feels complicated. But I think the more that women like you, Annanya, should speak up and share and talk about how accessible and approachable it is, and break it down the way that you have by just expressing that it really is about, like, do you like to solve problems? Do you like to
Yeah.
things that solve problems people are having? Like, do you care about people and want to help them solve a problem? Like, that's really like the core of what people in tech are doing and building. You know, it's like a good colleague of mine who's actually a mentor at our event that we're doing on Friday. She's a software development manager for Haynes, Antoinette, lovely lady. And she was telling me, if you can follow a recipe, you can learn to code. Like if you like, and I just thought, like, such a beautiful, simple way to think about it for someone who might not even be considering it. So I love that. I love that. And I love that you shared that you were just like, you knew you had this spark, you were curious about it. And I could see the way you lit up, Annanya, and you were talking about how you had built this hello world for the first time and seeing it come to life. You had that spark in you. And it's so important for us to just pay attention to those sparks, right? Like when we're working on something, things that make us feel alive, and just lean into them that way.
So I want to know, Nanya, we did talk a little bit about backstage, quite a bit, and your story is so good, and I love that we're kind of working our way through it. One thing we didn't cover, and I just have to ask, what is your experience as being a female in tech? Like, I love your definition, or at least your explanation of tech actually being quite simple when you get into it. It might be solving complex problems, but you're kind of taking those complex problems and simplifying it through tech solutions. But I'm going to put that to the side for a moment and just ask you straight on, like, being a young lady in tech, what has that been like for you?
Yeah, so in tech, I would say people who are like me, who are trying to find their way when they're starting their career after graduating, there are a lot of options, right? They can go into cybersecurity, they can go into web development, they can go into app development, they can go into like ethical hacking, so many different streams, right? And you have a lot of options to choose from when you are in computer science or software engineer. I would say when I was in my in that situation, all I considered was the courses that I took and what was my grade in that. Did I do good? Okay, I'm gonna go in this way. I realized later that that wasn't the ideal way, because now I think if I had to go back and correct myself, I would choose something that would have a future potential, like artificial intelligence, let's say, at that time, when, like, I think it was 2023, and at that time AI was ChatGPT was just open, like people were just using ChatGPT, and now there's so many other chatbots and so many other AI tools, right? If I was in that situation right now, I would be choosing artificial intelligence as my first, as my career path. But I chose web development and data analysis. So I don't I don't really regret that I chose that, is because tech is very diverse, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I cannot go into AI if I want to right now, because I do have that experience in data analysis and machine learning, and I can use that to pursue AI right now. And as I said, tech is very diverse. So I always wanted to be a developer, even though I was working in data analysis and web development at that time. And the web development perspective was very minimal. It was more data analysis in Excel and Python. But when I got this role as a senior developer, it was my first, I would say, my first tech heavy developing role where I would be coding and, will be going through all my agile methodologies to develop a project, like a whole project from end to end, so this role is something that I'm really proud of, because I didn't have any development experience as a developer before getting this role. I was in my title was data analyst, but I was doing some development work on the back end using
Mhm.
Microsoft Dynamics, Power Apps, and JavaScript. So those were not in my job description. I was doing it because I wanted to, and I wanted to create some of my projects which I can write in my resume, and someday I would get a developer job. And then I got this. And when I got this job, I was given like a end-to-end project, as I was saying, the work that I do right now, right from back end to front end. And I had to develop that project in 2 days on a weekend.
Wow.
And they were like very impressed about this project, because I filled out all the requirements of that assignment, and they were like, how did I do it, and how uh, I had to. It wasn't just the code or the presentation. I also had to create a diagram, that how I made it, how are the database connected, how is the front end connected to the back end, how the user is how the user is interacting with the database in the back end. So all of that I had to present using using PowerPoint, and also using a diagram. So it was not only the project. So all of that was done in just 2 days on a weekend. So that's why it was a very stressful situation at that weekend, but it all paid off when I got my job.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. But it sounds like you had proactively made the decision. You tend to, I can see you're a very forward thinking person. Like you had looked ahead and said, well, this is where I want to go in my career. So I'm going to take the initiative now to develop these skills.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not using them in my day-to-day job, this is important for my career. So I'm going to invest in these skills now. And that prepared you to be able to tackle that 2-day challenge and be able to master it. And I see that too with you, Annanya, with your brand, your personal brand, right? Like you very intentionally said, I want to build a personal brand. I want to be able to like create a following and create a situation where I can be able to give back and help other women learn and grow too. And I love this advice, this example that you shared, because it's a great example for other women who may be considering a career in tech or wherever you're at in your career, is to think proactively about where you want to go next and take steps now immediately to develop the skills that are going to get you there. And
Yes.
shown that like with this example and then with your personal brand. I'd love for you to share a little bit about, I know you've started building your own personal brand on Instagram and that you specifically are educating women in tech. And I'm just super curious about what you've noticed as you've taken that really bold step to speak up and create your own platform from nothing and use your voice to be able to help educate other women and other people in tech. What has been your experience? What have you noticed most since you've spoken up in that way?
So you're You are actually cut off in the middle. I didn't really understand the whole question. Just you can repeat. Are you asking me about the Instagram page?
Yeah. Like, what was it that inspired you to kind of create that platform and use your voice in that way? And what have you noticed since you've been doing it in yourself? Which changed in yourself? Which changed around you?
How have you grown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I started this channel, I didn't start it just to I didn't have the plan that I told you, right? The one that I want to share. I want to share my experience with people, and I want to teach people how to, deal with interviews and how to get interviews and how to write the resume and all of that. I didn't have that plan when I started my page. I started it with like very small topics about computer science, like what does big O of complexity mean, and very specific topics, and the topics that I find very technical and complicated when I was studying. And I targeted those topics, and I was making short videos on that. And I got some feedback from some of my friends that these are very technical, these are very directed to people who are actually studying computer science. People who are doing computer graphics won't be able to understand what you are saying, even though they are in tech. Then I realized, okay, then I should make content for broader people who are in tech, like project managers, even who are doing UX UI designing, all of the people who have tech background. Doesn't have to have coding background necessarily. So I started making content on corporate, and it was it reached more people because people were able to relate to that corporate culture in abroad. It doesn't have to be Canada only, but from people from India, people from Brazil, Argentina, people from all around the world were watching my videos. And that then I realized that I have to make relevant content instead of focusing on very specific viewers. And when I started doing that, I I'm grateful that I actually found a really supportive following, and they're very awesome. They give me feedbacks, they ask me questions on my stories, and they share my content like Katrina, and they comment on my post. And I really found this community in tech is very uplifting, and they're very encouraging, and they're very inspiring. And they won't tell you, oh, you are doing it wrong, you shouldn't be doing it, and they will not be negatively criticizing you so that you stop making it. So that's one thing that's driving me to create more content. And I really enjoy doing it. As I said, it kind of comes to me naturally sometimes. And when I'm not traveling, or when I'm not occupied with other stuff, other stuff as in my work related stuff or my family stuff, I these kinds of content ideas just comes to me naturally. And that's what I think that's what I think is something that I do enjoy. That's why I love making this content. And that's why I feel like people who are following me, they also try to support me, as I keep it very, very, very real.
Yeah. I definitely feel this authenticity and just you being yourself through your content. Because people, I think that's one beautiful thing about social media is that it's a place for us to show up creatively, but also just totally ourselves if we're doing it right. And I love that yours is that, but it's also this purpose behind it, where you're helping others who are in a similar position in life where they're looking for a tech role. So yeah, I totally see that with your content.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how you mentioned that it was the people in the community that have been driving you forward to create more
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
Like that's such a beautiful, I think, example of like when you're stepping into something uncomfortable, like speaking up and using a platform, it's the people that are there on the journey with you, supporting you, that are you help along the way, that are telling you, we need this is helping me, that can help you continue to move forward and step forward, because you're here, you're seeing that what you're doing is really having an impact little by little. And that not only that, like you're supporting them, but they're also supporting you. I loved how you shared that people are giving you really positive, uplifting support and feedback too. That feels like, yeah. So I think that's a really beautiful, like for anyone who's considering or afraid to speak up and use social media or in any other platform, if you're afraid to use your voice, recognizing that there is a place where you can go, where you can find people who are going to support you as you use your voice, and that are going to need what you have to say. Like it's going to help them. That's the whole purpose, is like you use your voice to help create a greater place for everyone in that place. So that's so cool.
So we've got a few minutes left here, Annanya, and I want to know, what advice would you give to someone who maybe wants to share their voice, develop their personal brand in tech? What advice would you give them if they're just starting out, maybe feeling that fear of showing up? What advice would you give to them to just push through it and grow in that way?
So I found the videos that I put more effort into editing, using sound effects or music or humor, or just being funny by being myself. Those kind of videos get more engagement and more comments, and people provide more feedback, and they tend to share it more. And I would suggest, if you are trying to create your personal brand, you should be you should be learning editing. It doesn't have to be super fancy like Adobe or something. You can just use a mobile app, and there are tutorials all over YouTube. You can follow some of the trending edits that people are doing and learn those from YouTube, and try to create simple videos and do some interesting or creative editing that would spark curiosity among your followers, like, oh, how did you do that, how was she able to do that with the sound, and how did it all sync up and all of that. So when people start thinking about it, they will be watching it more, and they will be asking you questions, and will be giving you feedback. So I would give this advice to people. It doesn't have to be super fancy, obviously, because the tools are very smart right now, and you just have to follow the tutorials. As you said, if you can follow a recipe, if you can code, you can also follow a tutorial.
I love that.
So it's basically, it's like learning to code. It's not as complicated as people think it is, And also, I love how you say I think you point out something that I've experienced too with my own personal brand, is that it's the posts, the content that you create that comes from you, that shows your personality more than like, oh, here's the 10 things that you need to do to like master, your personal brand, right? It's the when you show up authentically and share your own stories, that people really start to connect with you, and finding ways to kind of like do that while you're teaching and sharing is the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Well, Annanya, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being our guest. We love you. We'll continue to follow you. And for anyone listening, please follow Annanya. You can find her on Instagram. She's my_tech talks on Instagram. That's her handle. We have it dropped here in the comment section so you can follow her there. She's doing a lot of amazing, amazing work trying to support people who are looking for jobs in Canada and, people in tech as well. And also, if you're listening, this is the very last day to register for our Flash Mentorship event, which is going to be this Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. We have an amazing panel of 10 rock star senior women in tech who are going to be at this event, and they're going to be doing 30-minute mentorship sessions. We will match you up with the right fit mentor based on your job function, based on your job experience and your interests. And you'll get this amazing session with them. And you get a chance to also give your feedback after your session to help us build the next big thing at Hello Moxie to support you. So you can find that information. Oh, I got to drop it in the chat. Sheesh, I wasn't prepared. Okay.
No worries.
Chat, and you can register for it here. And we're going to have so much fun. We've got some surprises in store for our.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
4 more days.
4 more days. So yeah, so you definitely want to get on that. And until next time we're going to have
Until next time.
episode where we're going to recap our event on Friday. And until then, have a Moxie day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.